Okay, welcome everyone. I'm Justin Owen and welcome to our latest seminar series from REI Master. This time all about sales and marketing. If you're watching online, can you make sure you hit on the subscribe button so you get all of the latest feeds as we post them. Today we're going to welcome Kim.
Hello.
And Varia from Koncept Konnect. So a little bit about our presenters today. Koncept Konnect have been helping tourism and hospitality businesses to grow their businesses since 2013. But more than that, Kim and Varia have been involved in the industry for quite a long time now. They're coming to you with a very broad background, including building management and dedicated sales and marketing for the tourism and hospitality industries. They're really well placed to bring us the content here today. From our point of view, we're really grateful for the effort and time that you've put in to join us here today, free of charge, to help us grow our businesses. So let's give Kim and Varia a bit of a welcome. So without too much more, I'll hand you over to Kim. We'll get us started today.
Hey, thank you, Justin. How are you? Good morning to everybody. I'm Kim, as Justin said, and Varia, my business partner. We've been, 5 years or something together doing Koncept Konnect. So we'd just like to give you some information and some helps and tips and tricks on how you can improve the sales and marketing for your respective businesses. So a really big question that we always get asked is, what's the difference between sales and marketing? What is it? So sales, for instance, is selling. It's a personal interaction with people. How many rooms are booked at what rate? One-on-one meetings, telephone calls or telesales, if you want to call it that way. It develops relations with customers and channel distribution partners, and networking and building relationships and price and term negotiation. So that's what sales is about. Marketing. Marketing is who will buy and how. So knowing your market, understanding your customers. Where do they come from? How did they book? Marketing helps you set your product position to know where you sit in the marketplace, your pricing, your communication to customers, and yeah, that's pretty well the sort of the differences between the two, the sales and the marketing. So how do you get indications on your sales targets? Really, a really important thing is to know your statistics, to know where your sales are at the end of every month. You need to know, as an example, on a monthly basis, what total number of rooms you had available to sell in that month. How many rooms were sold, what your occupancy was, what your total revenue and your average daily rate was for that month. And market segments, very important, to know whereabouts that business is coming from. Examples, you've got your corporate, government, inbound leisure, OTAs, etc. You can also, create pie graphs or any sorts of graphs. Really good to compare them month to month, year to year as well. So you know where to sit on a seasonal basis. Just a few tips is a really good thing. Be everywhere. Make it easy for your guests to find you. Have your own active and informative website. It's got to be the nucleus of your business, your website. Do sales visits and also telesales. Contract with traditional travel agents like your wholesale Go Holidays Infinity. Contract with local companies, governments, associations, local bodies. Be active on your own social media and community social media pages. Be involved, be a partner in your local tourism organisation or body or bodies. Write website content around events that drive occupancy directly to your website. Respond to reviews on all channels. Of course, we all know it's not just TripAdvisor these days, it's on all your OTAs. List on every online channel that you can find, especially if they connect via your channel manager. Be found on all listing sites as well, not just booking sites, but listing sites and referral sites. So it's all free advertising. So be, as active as you can. Do you want to take on this one, the cycle plan?
So when you're looking at your sales and your marketing, there is a process that you need to go through, and some of you will know probably some of it or all of it, and then just haven't put all the pieces together. So you start obviously with your business plan. What is your total occupancy and revenue you want to achieve? What's your gross income, your expenses, and then what profit do you want to make at the end of the day. So from that, then you put together your strategic plan. How am I going to achieve this budget that I've just set for the year? How many sales each month do I need to make? What rates? Do I need to set seasons? What special offers? And how am I going to let these people know how to book, which is your marketing bit. So from your sales plan, then you look at, as Kim showed, the market segments or where your sources of business are. So if I want business from corporate, how do I need to get that? If I want business from international travel agents, how do I get that? What do I need to do? How do they book? How often do they book? And then what do I need to let my team know to ensure they convert those sales when the bookings come through? So the next phase is then, I know who I need to target to and who I need to talk to, who I need to see. Now I need to put my marketing plan together. So that means what collateral do I need? What brochures do I need? Do I need online marketing or offline marketing? How can I communicate via my social media to my guests, my potential guests, or people like my current guests? And then what contract templates do I need? So if I want to do government contracting, what rates do I have? What contract do I have? So if someone rings me up and says, hey, I'd really like to send you all of my business travel, you need to be able to send them a contract immediately, right there and then. So it helps to plan and get this all sorted. So you measure your results monthly on what you've achieved, and then obviously you follow the cycle around and around every year. So once you've got your tracking and your results, then it makes it easier for forward planning. So one of the things that we use, which will help, it's a bit fuzzy, I know, but basically you plan your sales activities, you've worked out who you're targeting, what sources of business, then you break it down month by month during the year, so to make it really easy for yourself. So I need to do telesales to these companies. This is when I need to contract for government. This is when I need to contract for wholesale. Every month allocating what you need to talk about to who and then to when, and then just whip it out at the beginning of every month and go, okay, these are the activities I need to conduct to make sure I get my end result. So it does take a bit of a plan, and you do need to plan at least 12 months ahead. So you set your rates, your contracting periods, and then what trade events or consumer events that you want to do, if you're going to do any, and then also set your telesales targets. So you think that telemarketing might sound like a lot of work, but really you only need to do 1 or 2 hours a week or a month to generate more business opportunities for yourself. And plan your communications, as I said. So don't just say, I'm going to send a newsletter every month. Actually think about what you want to say to them every month in advance about what is coming up, because the point of having your guest communications is to tell them about reasons to come and visit you and to stay. And you've got to think about when are they going to be thinking about travelling, how far in advance. So as we said, sales does take time. It's not an instant fix. You can't just go, hey, I want some corporate business, and tomorrow it will magically appear on your door. Occasionally that might happen. So you need to understand the source of business, who the travellers are, and what the contract period is, and when will they start booking. So if you want business travellers, which there is quite a bit into the Gold Coast now, and it's growing, they only travel Mondays to Thursdays. They don't stay during school holidays or peak periods. So that's very important. If those are your low days, this is a market that you want to tap into. So they start contracting now from July through to the end of November, and then the travellers will start booking from the new year, so the 1st of January. If you want Commonwealth government business, which is through AOT, which some of you will already have, you're contracting for that Monday to Thursday business once again. They contract now, and they start the business travel year from the 1st of July, and that goes financially. So every year at this time of the year, you contract your Commonwealth government business. If you want your international leisure wholesalers, House of Travel or Qantas Holidays or whatever, they travel all year. You set your rates for all year, it's all seasons, and you set your specials in advance. You're contracting also now, May to June, but the travellers, if you're contracting these markets, won't be travelling until the 1st of April 2019. So that's a really long lead time for contracting. So if that's a market you want to get into, you've got to understand the cycle and the timing to make sure that you get that opportunity. Because if you miss it and you think, oh, September, I think I'll contract wholesale international, they'll go, yeah, no, you have to wait now till next year, which means you won't get any business until 2020-21. So, you know, when you're looking at sales, you've got to take into consideration the lead times that it takes. So there's a few things you need to do. Plan for the year. Know your dates. What are your key holiday dates by state? Because as we know, they don't always work in sync. Know your key event dates to maximise your occupancy, and then know your need periods. And your need periods are more important really than the other two, because the other two periods you know are going to be peak and high demand. Your need periods are when you actually need to focus your sales and your marketing to ensure you don't have problems. The next thing you need to do is actually set your expenditure. So how much am I going to spend or allocate each month to ensure that I get the business that I want at the end of the year? What memberships do I need to be involved in? Do I need to do sales calls or travels or trips, trade shows? Do I need to set preferred partnerships, i.e. with Flight Centre Travel Global or something like that? And then your marketing, which is what do I need to spend on my website? How much a month is it going to cost me to do a direct mail to my guest? If I'm doing advertising, how much do I want to allocate towards that? And then what brochures am I going to need as well to print, to give out? And do I need some sales and marketing professionals to help my team or be part of my team and cost that in as well? So it's all part of a big plan. When you print this out, you'll be able to see in more detail what's actually included there. So with your printed advertising and marketing, just be really careful about what you do. It needs to be targeted for the people that you're talking to. Don't just do generic with a logo and a picture and no pricing or basic information. Just make sure that what you're giving the people you're selling to is what they want so that they will actually book. So you need a basic fact sheet for travel agents, company travel bookers. If you're doing advertising, make sure it's targeted, as I said, to the market. So this is the defence rate in a defence magazine for defence people. So, and then if you're doing a flyer, make sure it's catchy, that someone will want to pick it up and take it with them or share with a friend. So just be really, really careful in thinking about your actual printed marketing to make sure that it has a price, it has a call to action, and it's targeted to who you want to book, not just generic branding. So spend your money wisely, and this is one of the things we get asked quite a lot with our clients. So there's a few things you can do smarter. So do this, which means focus on your customer service, respond and improve. And responding to TripAdvisor or other reviews costs you nothing other than a bit of time, but it will help you grow your business. We don't recommend that you do this, which is a TripAdvisor business listing. So as you know, it costs a lot of money and it doesn't return you anything really. You can still respond to your reviews without having a business listing. So they probably wouldn't want to hear us saying that, but we don't recommend you spend that money where you don't need to. Another thing that we also recommend is to do free SEO, which basically means make your website active. Write content on there and blogs that actually give people a reason to visit your area and your property. And then share it on social media and they'll book direct and you push everything back. So everything you write on your website, Google sees and counts that as SEO. So you know what your keywords are. Just make sure you write them into every article you write. You don't need to write too many. If you're paying for keyword SEO, as you know, you get some lovely reports and graphs and things with arrows going up and down and really kind of means not a lot. The one good thing about doing content marketing on your website is that you do it yourself and you can track it because you can see if someone clicked on that particular blog link and if they called to book. So it's a lot better investment. Once again, it takes a bit of time and a bit of planning, but will be a better investment for your marketing dollars. And now over to reporting with Kim.
Oh, so that's a really simple, like just what Mari has put you through is just like, wow, there's so many things we've got to take in there. But once you've got it in a like a table format, or you think about it, and it doesn't have to be all done within a few days. You know, you can take a month of planning. You know, it seems quite mind-boggling, and oh my gosh, I don't have the time to do that. But it's very, very important to set those plans in place to move forward into this next section we're going to talk about. You have to know in your head, you have to know all that sort of stuff and have that plan. So once again, it's really important to track everything within your PMS system. It really takes 80% more time to find a new guest than it does to keep an existing one. So you need to know your guests, you need to know how your money's being spent on advertising, you need to know who's going to book your property. You don't want to waste your time and efforts and money on a target market that's not coming to your property, right? You need to focus your marketing on geographic regions with the best room nights and the revenue potential. You need to target your sales efforts for best results. So it's very important. Don't waste your time on doing flyers that aren't specific, or wasting your energy and time and money on targeting sales or people that aren't going to come to your property, aren't part of your target market.
Billboards.
So, sorry, what was that?
Billboards.
Billboards. 7 simple questions to ask yourself. How do my guests book? What source? Now, this is all going to be tracked within REI. Obviously, you know, you've obviously got every potential within your PMS system, REI Master, to track everything properly. How long did they stay? How far in advance did they book? Do I want a diverse market mix, or all online travel agents? Am I going to be lazy and just let the OTAs book all my clients into my property? What other opportunities are in my area? How can I get that business? Do I have all the booking tools needed? I mean, that's software as well as data. So you need to look at that as well. 7 simple questions to ask your guests on check-in or out, however your procedure, whatever you do at your property level. Where do they come from? Like a postcode, for example. You can track all your postcodes. Why are they staying at your property? Why do they pick you and not the property down the road? The reason they're staying. Do you have their personal email? Just remember, everybody that books via, say, booking.com has a booking.com email. It's not their personal email. So it's very, very important on checkout to get a request that they give you their personal email rather than the booking.com one. Okay, so that you can communicate with them at a later date when they've checked out. How did they choose or find you? Why did they come to you? Did they like your pool, or did they like your position? Did they like your apartments? Did they like your customer service last time they stayed? Why did they book via an OTA or direct, or vice versa? Was it easier for them to book on booking.com or Expedia rather than directly on your website? That's a very important question to ask them. Will they come back? Will they return? Are they a return guest? And will they recommend you? Very important questions to know. Your data is your key. It's gold dust. That's what your business is made up of for you guys in Strata Properties. It's nobody else. That's your property, your gold dust. It will save you time to know what your data is. It will save you money. It'll give you peace of mind that you know where your business is coming from. It'll give you confidence to find more of like-minded people that come to your property. Take the time to get it right. It might take a little bit more time to load the correct data into your PMS system and all the guest details that you need to put in there. But if you take the time to get it right and put it in there, that's always going to be something that you can pull reports on and keep the data to communicate with guests moving forward, to know where you're going to target your marketing and sales spend and time. How to join the dots. There's a lot to it, isn't there, sales and marketing? So a really important part of it, all staff need to work together. And I don't know how big all your properties are. You might have different sections within your property, or it might just be you guys, or it might be husband, wife. But everybody needs to know what's happening. So you might have put a special on where you need to communicate that to your front desk or your partner or whoever else is working within your facility and dealing with your customers on a day-to-day basis. You've got to review your reports monthly, at least. You need to review booking results from the marketing efforts you're putting in monthly. So if you put a special offer on or spend a little bit of time on creating one of those flyers that Varia previously showed you, you need to somehow track whether that has given you has converted bookings into your property for what to make sure it's worthwhile that time and spend. As we've just run past, you need to set your business plans. You need to budget your budgets and annually. Allow a month or so, well, it's generous, a month, I said a couple of weeks, but a month to get them completed. Doesn't need to be all done in a day.
No, so, it doesn't have to be complicated either. Like once you see the spreadsheets that we've got up there, it'll give you a bit of an idea of how simple it can be, as long as you know what your monthly result is, your target, and then what sources of business you want to break it down into. So when you see those spreadsheets, you'll go, oh, okay, that's cool. I just need to do this for the corporate market and this for the leisure market and this for my social media. So it's not as overwhelming as having to write an 80-page budget and strategic plan. It can be 4 or 5 pages and simple dot points that will just guide you through the year to make sure you're not getting into positions where you have, panic attacks because you've got to a low season and you haven't thought about what you actually want to do, which happens to us all.
Yeah, exactly. It's not, but that's where it comes back to having your data. To know that is of importance, because you can't create these plans without knowing what your data is, basically. So just think like a large one as a smaller operator. So you've got to think. I mean, larger operations have sales departments, business development, marketing people. You've got to actually. You're a smaller operators, but you've got to actually think like a bigger one. You've got all different sections to cover. You've got quite a large umbrella of services to cover. Do I need both? People go, oh, I don't really need sales. I just need some marketing, or vice versa. Yes, you do need both. Because marketing without sales is only half the job done. Okay? Not even the best sales efforts that you make can close the deal if your marketing focus is incorrect, which comes back to your data.
Yeah, so you might be doing sales, for example, to a corporate travel agent, but your actual bookers are government people. So you're focusing in the wrong area on your sales, so you're not going to get the results through your marketing. So that's part of the reporting as well, is to understand who are my customers so that I'm talking to the right people. You can do scattergun sales and just talk to everyone and hope that you kind of get a few bookings from it. But obviously it makes it a lot easier if you go, okay, I just need to talk to these people, or I want this group business, so I'm going to go and just talk to that group operator. So just making sure your focus is correct. You can do, market to everyone in the world, but maybe leave that to the OTAs who've got lots of money, and then target the people you want to talk to directly. Yeah, because you have limited time and money. Everyone has limited time and money to be able to do that. So you've got to be most efficient if you can with your marketing. It must be reviewed and updated constantly, because it's never static. Your clientele is never static. The type of customers that are attracted to your property is never the same. It changes. So you've got to constantly make sure that that's updated. You need both sales and marketing to continue to grow your business and improve the diversity of your guest base. So you want to always develop your business, basically. So you've always got to look for new markets and different markets. Yeah, it's the same with any business. Yeah, no matter what you've got. So some good ways to do that as well is you get bookings from Expedia. They might have like a corporate chargeback on it or something. So look at those and go, oh, that's a booking from, Westfield or something. That means that that particular company is booking to your area and has business opportunity. So don't just get it and then process it and not think, oh, I wonder what else that company has or what else opportunity is out of that. So look at all the information that's coming through your res team. If someone rings up and makes a booking, oh, why are you here? I'm here for business. Don't just go, oh, okay, that's nice. Ask them. Why? What company do you work for? Do you come often? Do other people from your businesses travel as well? Always be asking lots of questions to source out what your opportunities are. And once again, that could all be recorded in your PMS system. Yeah. So you don't have to remember it in your head. And if you ever want to pull up that information, it's there. So it's actually really important. So what's the important thing? So a customer cannot tell the difference between a hotel, motel or apartment. They don't know or care about your business or your financial structure. Just remember, you're all in the business of hospitality. You're not just running a hotel. You're hospitality. Your customer service is the key, basically. You can do all the sales and marketing you want, but if your guests don't have a good experience at your property, they won't come back or recommend.
So that's your key selling point. It's one of your key selling points is your customer service.
Yeah, and that gives you a competitive advantage as well as smaller independent properties and operators over a big chain. So you might think, oh, the chains get all the business and they can focus on that, but a lot of the time they just produce robots who just, you know, say the same thing. It's like, would you like fries with that? McDonald's kind of service. So one key advantage for customer service for you guys is being able to personalise it. Know your guests, talk to them, understand them, you know, have conversations with them on a one-on-one basis. So it's really important because your sales and marketing reflects in your customer service and vice versa.
So that comes back to training your service and sales. So your front desk, if you're not there and you've got people running your front desk, they're your face. So it's going to be very important that they know and are trained on how you want to convert the sale or provide a good customer service. If they don't do that at front office, then you're fighting a losing battle. So it's very important that the front office is trained. If it's not you guys and you have someone there, that they have a procedure or they know what you want from them and how to deal with customers on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Let the staff know your monthly targets as well. You know, communicate with them and make them part of your business. Ensure your front desk knows what current specials that you are offering, whether it's via the OTAs or your direct, and make sure that so many times this happens. You might have a potential guest that has rang, looking on booking.com, and they see a nightly rate, and they ring the property direct, and the property say, what can you offer me? I'm looking at booking.com and it's $200 a night. Can you offer me the same rate? So many times, especially the larger chains, I suppose that's an instance, they don't offer the equal price or a better deal direct. They'll go, oh no, sorry, you'll have to go back to booking.com to book that $200 a night rate. Yeah. Where at front office, you're paying 15% commission, obviously, to booking.com, so you should at least give them that rate or even a little bit less, even 5% off that rate that they're looking at on booking.com.
Yeah. But that means you have to make sure your staff are enabled so that they know what they can do without having to come back to you. Because they've only got a few minutes on the phone. They don't need to go, oh, can you just hang on a second, run back, can I do this? Come back. They need to be able to close the deal right there and then. They need to know what parameters you'll let them do that to get the deal, and then if they close the deal, then, you know, celebrate it, have a big party, yay, high fives, great deal, and then they'll do it more because they can't help themselves. Then they get really excited about making the sale. So
that's all about communicating to your front office.
Yeah.
And sell, as what Barry just said, say high fives, celebrate success.
No, I worked in one hotel and we'd have monthly budgets, and all the team, including housekeeping, knew how important it was for us to achieve, and every quarter, if we would achieve our budget for the quarter, then the boss would take us all out for a big dinner out and have a bit of fun. So just hire some other stuff in, and that just kept everyone motivated to the next quarter to actually try even harder. And we were just a strata property, but we got everyone involved. Housekeeping knew what was going on as well, so it wasn't just, and they were outsourced, but it wasn't just them coming in and, yeah, whatever, I'm just here to clean a room. But they were involved in the success of the business and the customer service experience as well. So it's a good tip to make sure everybody gets excited about your goals and your experience.
So what do I, as a property manager or owner, need to do to ensure my sales and marketing is effective? So you can have an external provider or a staff member doing sales and marketing for your property, but if these things aren't happening at property level, then the sales and marketing is not going to work. So you've got to provide the good customer service at property level, right? You need to respond to reviews and improve on those reviews where you can. And that's really good. It's got to be done from property level, because it could be something like a leaking tap or whatever that we don't know about. You need to communicate to your guests, your past guests and your current guests, in-house guests. You need to encourage return visits.
Yeah, I really
close the deal.
Butt in there again.
Yeah, go. Yeah.
With the return visits, one good thing to do if you've got the staff or you've got your teams trained is when people are checking out, ask them if they're going to come back, and if they say yes, then get them to book right there, and then don't leave them to walk out the door. Say, hey, how about you book now? You can cancel and there's no fee or whatever if you change your mind, But if you get them right there before they go out and get distracted by something else or somewhere else, then you're one step ahead of the game for the future, you know. So.
And obviously close the deal, which we've just touched on from front office. Monitor your competitors and rates daily. So many people go, oh, I've just loaded my rates in SiteMinder and I haven't looked at them for a week. It's just like, well, you know, obviously you can set your rates, but you also need to know your daily supply demand, and you need to be on that every day, even a couple of times a day, and you need to tweak your rates as to reflect that. Obviously accurate data, which we've discussed on the previous slide, is of utmost importance. There's just a few tips on customer service that we'll just run through here that you might find helpful. Like, you need to tell your guests there is, prior to check-in, reception hours, check-in procedure, how to get there, how to get around when they get there, things to do, places we love to go, to eat, to shop, etc. And tipping if it's food or water, food safety.
Yeah, so one thing, we were just travelling overseas, and in Australia we take it for granted basically that, you know, food's safe and drinking water's safe. But we don't think that when people come to Australia that they think the same way.
Yeah.
So it's a good idea just to let them know that yes, you can drink the water from the taps. Yes, the food is safe if you buy something from a hot dog stand, and no, tipping is not a thing that we do here in Australia. But of course, if someone wants to tip, they can. But, you know, just those little things that we kind of assume that everyone just knows. Don't assume anything. Like, tell them as much as you possibly can.
Well, yeah, for the international guests more so. But tell them, use your mailers to present the information clearly. They're just a couple of examples of some pre-stay mailers. See that?
Yeah. So really clear, nice pictures, little snapshots.
Extras.
We know that everything gets generated out of the PMS as well. But what we've found, and probably what you find, is that if it's just a block of text, people don't read it. So try and come up with a more creative way of presenting that information so that they read it, and then they can't complain later to say, oh, I didn't know that I had to do that if I got there after 5 o'clock or whatever. So, you know, make the most of your mailer tools. Yeah,
pictures is good.
We all like pictures.
Yeah, we like pictures. So don't wait for them to ask, give them some maps when they get there, like local area maps. How to get around without a car, like public transport, transfer companies, etc. How to book a tour. Obviously, if you've got ticket mates, you want to encourage them to book through that because you guys get commission from that. Where to go for shopping. You know, where's Coles, the latest Coles or Woolies or whatever, where they can buy it online, get it delivered. Where to go to get a good coffee or breakfast, or there might be a little cafe in-house. Another language, give them a double-sided A4 as an example, info page on arrival with all that appropriate information that they might need when they're staying with you.
It doesn't cost much, about $90 to get a double-sided A4 translated into another language. So if you've got a customer base that can't read English that well or speak it, then it's such a simple tool to be able to do that. So, and we, as you know, I mean, you've probably all checked into places yourself where you just basically get a key and get told where your room is and that's it. And then you have to go back and go, oh, actually, can you tell me where this is, or how do I do that? So just make that part of your spiel when you're talking to people when they check in. Oh, if you need this, this is here and that's there. So then they have all the information right there and then when they get their key. And then if they come down, they're probably going to come down to make a tour booking or something.
Just thought of another thing we should have thrown in their Wi-Fi code, if there's a code.
Oh yeah, tell them that.
Just thought of
very
that.
Important.
That's a very important thing,
Yeah.
which sometimes if they don't give it to you, you've got to ring them up or to go down. What's the code to get into the Wi-Fi? Yeah, so anyway, that's a good thing. Talk to them, reviews. Do you want to chat about that one? That's, on TripAdvisor.
So as you know, and probably you do yourself, when you're looking for an accommodation, you're looking at reviews generally first. So you'll go, where am I going, what area? And then what properties am I looking within that area? And what are people saying about those properties? So generally you read your review, and then you start making decisions. So it's really important that you respond to your reviews, even if it's just an acknowledgement. It doesn't have to be a full-blown letter or anything. If they've made a negative comment, make sure you acknowledge it and then suggest, go back to them with things that you've maybe improved as a result. And remember, when you're writing a response to a review, you're not talking to the person who wrote it. You're actually talking to all the other people who are deciding whether they should stay with you or not. So that's very important to understand that. It doesn't really matter about that guest. If they had a bad experience, they're probably not going to come back anyway. But all the other people who are reading how you responded to it are going to make a decision based on that. So you need to look at your guests. Obviously and reward them. So if you know who's staying, so this slide I think is in the wrong spot, and understand who they are, encourage them to recommend, and then reward them for coming back. So recognise and reward. With the feedback form, if you have one, make it really, really simple. You only need to ask 2 questions. What do we do well? And what could we do better? So if you word it, what could we do better? It's a positive bent. You're still asking for what wasn't as good as it could be, but it's really simple. So you can just get a little brochure printed out with those 2 questions, and you'll probably get more responses and write-backs on that if you just put a little code along the bottom to ask them to tick. If you're happy for them to post it on your website as a review, then they generally will. So
a really good thing to put on the back of, say, that card as an example too, is a promo code with a return guest. Like if you've got it set up in your booking button to offer 10% off your best available rate of the day, you'll have a return guest code. So another really good way of actually encouraging that.
We've got a picture of that.
Yeah, is to actually put that on the back of something like that. So encourage the guests to do a review in lieu of actually giving them that promo code. When they stay again, they always get a better deal direct.
Yeah. So these are just a couple of examples here of how to respond. So basically just respond back, thank you for your comments. Glad you enjoyed your stay in wherever we are, and we hope to see you again. Or if they say they're obviously never going to come back, then you can say something like, thanks for coming, we hope you had a great time. If you loved being with us, tell your family and friends. Like, be obvious about asking them to tell everyone and come back. And if you get a bad review, it's the best way is just to be, acknowledge it. Thank you. We're glad you enjoyed, pick out the positive things they've said, because they'll normally say a couple of positive things. Glad you enjoyed your location and your room and whatever. But we apologise for the thing that it was that upset them. And maybe, if you'd let us know before you left, we could have helped you. So it's just about responding in a positive manner. So you'll be able to see what those were. And then we do, when they've departed, sending them a guest newsletter. Thanks for staying, write a review, plan your next visit, tell your friends, follow us on Facebook, use your email system to communicate to them, and then you can actually track who reads it, who shares it, who clicks through to make another booking. So your guest newsletter is obviously really important as well. So it's about sharing your success, it's about planning ahead, so your guests book 6 months in advance. Then talk about something that's happening in 6 months' time that might be of interest to book. And then, as Kim said, give them a reason to come back.
20% is better than 10.
Yeah, so 20 is generous, but then if you think about how much you're offering with the OTAs, and then with promotions and discounts on top of the OTA commissions and everything, it's probably fairly easy to do, and you probably make more money if they book direct. So the next thing, obviously, once you've got your customer service right, you know who your market is, then you need to set your rates. So we'll just go through a bit of an idea of what you need to look at and what you need to understand.
Rates, tips, tricks, seasons and offers. One of the most common things I get when I see a new client is that their rates, they have no idea what their bar rates are and how their rates are going to be set in their channel manager for the next 18 months, or they're not loaded. So really important, some tips and tricks. Obviously you need software, a channel manager, a booking button, and be interfaced with your PMS system for live availability. There's quite a lot of people that still don't have a live interface for availability. It's so important to have that so that you can actually push out all your rooms out there on the marketplace. You need rates loaded for about 18 months in advance. So many people don't have rates and maybe have only got them loaded for 6 months. You need to have visible rates for the next 18 months. That's how long your channel manager is pushing rates out to your online channels. Set your seasons and dates well ahead, at least 12 or 18 months ahead. You need to know your seasons, your special events. You need to know historically when your busy seasons are. There might be sort of Gold Coast Marathon or something like that in July. That's a busy weekend. So you want to put your rates up 12 months ahead. So you're going to get the best rate that you possibly can for that high demand period. You need to plan your specials in advance for your need periods, not last minute. I mean, you're still going to do last minute dynamic pricing, but you need to have seasonal offers in place for your low seasons, AG, May, June, which is now, which is what you guys are probably all sitting there going, what can I do now?
Yes, so you should have, if you're thinking that, you probably should have put your specials out to the market in March.
Yeah.
So
make it easy for customers to book. It's really important. So 3 clicks on your website. If you want to improve direct business, it needs to be easy for people to be booked direct on your website. 3 clicks to conversion, booking conversion. Room names, keep it simple. Don't complicate things with your room names. Rate plans and length of stay. Have the minimal number of rate plans available as you can. And then offer specials off that base rate, whether it's a master rate or your 2 or 3 night rate. Don't have too many minimum length of stay in your rate plans. Consistent terms and conditions to all your agents. So many times we see that your terms and conditions aren't consistent across all your different channels, and you must have better terms and conditions for people to book direct. Don't have a stricter policy direct. Have a looser policy direct.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
yeah, we find that quite a lot actually, that on your OTAs they'll have, you know, book now, pay later, no deposits, flexible cancellation fees policies, but if you want to go on your own, the hotel website, the property website, they have to pay a deposit, they have to pay up front, there's no cancellation fees. It's so complicated and hard. So it should be the reverse. Make it hard on the OTA with your cancellation policies, make it easy and simple, and, you know, encourage people to come
directly.
Yeah.
Because they will shop around, they'll bounce around from Expedia to TripAdvisor to your own website, maybe back to another OTA.
Yeah. And there's
before they'll buy.
Yeah, and there's no reason why, if you can do it on OTA, Booking.com or Expedia, you can't do it direct. It doesn't take any more effort. You're already doing it. So yeah, swap things around.
Room types. Keep it simple. Keep the name short in your room type. Don't have 1 bedroom, partial view, ocean view, level 2, or something like that. Keep them short. Don't have too many categories. Have the minimum amount of categories that you can. Be sure your room name is applicable to the category. Don't have a deluxe room in a 40-year-old property. Don't call it deluxe. That's my vision of deluxe. It's a brand new property that might be closer to 5-star. So in other words, that's an example, standard 1 bedroom. Just call it 1 bedroom instead of standard, and then have your next tier up, which may be a superior. So just shorten it. Keep everything simple that you can with your room names. For display as well as simplicity for bookers. And deluxe only if you are, which is what I just said, if you're not in that space. Rate plans, so don't have too many lengths of stays. So many times they go on there and people have got in there 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7 minimum night stays for every room type. So a client will go on and have a look to buy one of your rooms, and there might be 20 rate plans in other different room types. How confusing is that for the purchaser, the potential buyer? So they'll go back to Booking.com where it's displayed as just, you know, 1 rate type that's available on their special offer. So that's an example of lots of lengths of stays. Make it easy. What's this slide? Which special would you book? That one or the next one? So that's just 2 different displays, obviously, of special offers direct on their websites.
Yeah, and you can't see it. Shame we can't zoom it up, but they've actually got 3 different specials. So not just one, they've got one that says one thing, and then the next one which is slightly cheaper, and then the next one that's slightly cheaper than that. So it's basically the same offer, but 3 times, and then cheaper, cheaper, cheaper. So really they're just reducing their income. Because if you just had one, they'd probably just book the one special, rather than giving them 3 different options and making it really confusing. So yeah,
and just the way it's displayed. So this is obviously an old version of example of the booking button, where so many properties haven't upgraded to the newer version visually, which looks a lot better. So the grid's sort of okay. Maybe a lot of people like looking at that because it's grid style with the pricing. But for the shopper, to book direct for special offers, which is the next page.
We've had a few properties that have just said they didn't want to change their booking button to the new version because their staff like to look at this. It's like, well, you're not selling to your staff, you're actually selling to the customer. So upgrade. Costs nothing, totally free.
Basically.
So it makes, it does.
That's a huge difference.
Makes it way easier for the customer. You can.
Read that, press the button.
Yeah. So just think when you're looking at it, who are you selling to? So
you've got to think like your customer, potential customer.
It's just like when you book online for an aeroplane ticket.
Yeah.
The easier it is, the better.
So obviously, and it's no cost to do that, to update to a modern display.
No, there's just a button. If you use booking button, there's just a button that says upgrade to new version or something. So,
so what are we up to now? So understanding your rates by source of business. So you need to know what your different, which is, we're going to show you a grid in a minute, but you need to understand your bar rate, which is your best available rate, if no one else, your public rate. And you need to understand the different commission levels that drop down off this rate to understand what your net nightly rate will be and what sort of deals and offers that you can actually drop off that bar rate, which is what you've got to work from. So obviously different market sources have different, reflect different rate levels or commissions depending on your market source. So don't have all your eggs in one basket. Make sure that you've got sales from all different areas or market segments that you can. So your best available rate obviously is on your own website, and then you've got your corporate rate, which is commissionable and net. You've got a wholesale rate, you've got inbound rates, you've got government and group rates. So there's all different sorts of market segments that are going to have different commission levels. And if you do contract with wholesale, it's really important not to undercut rates online. So if you've contracted a net static rate, which is what you have to contract if you're doing wholesale, it's really important not to undercut that with your rates online through your channel manager. Yeah. So it's only going to drive more bookings via the online channels.
Yeah, and when you do that, you need to remember that for wholesale, you're contracting now for 10 months in advance. So you have to remember by the time you get to 10 months in advance what net rates you've got out there to make sure your specials don't undercut them. That kind of would defeat the purpose of doing all that work to build the relationship and do the contracting and all of that sort of thing.
And it's expensive to contract with wholesale as well, with the brochure inclusion, etc. So this is just an example of a rate matrix which we use. So you can see that in the highlighted row in yellow is your bar rate or your best available rate. And then dropping down under that, you've got different commission levels, 5, 10, 15, 25, depending on what your market segments are. And then you'll have a net rate that drops down under that. And you can see in this example, the 2 and the 5 night are the only rates that we've actually got live or set up as an ongoing rate in your channel manager. And the other rates are set up as specials that drop on and off the master rate of, say this example, the 2 night rate, it's the master rate. So you've got a 3 and a 7 night rate, but they're not set rates. They're not available as a ongoing rate type. They're actually just a special offer that will drop off the 2 night rate. Okay, so they're not. You know, when you go onto your booking button, you're not going to see 2, 3, 5, and 7 all the time. You might just see 2 and 5, and then whatever special you've got for a 3 or a 7 night deal. Yeah. Okay.
So one good thing about this example as well, a grid, is that it means that you have to think about what is the net rate that I want to get. So in this example, you've got a one bedroom apartment, and the cheapest rate on a 7 night length of stay that I'm going to get in my pocket is $175. So that's kind of how, when you're looking at your rates, you set them backwards. What is the net lowest rate that I am willing to achieve, and then mark everything else up on top of that, because then that will open up all those other market opportunities for you. So, and then you won't be losing money or going, oh, that rate's too cheap, I'm not making any money on that. So you'll be able to look at this in more detail. Obviously the full overview's there as well. So
you can do this one.
So with your rates, obviously it's a good idea to monitor what's going on in your area, not just other strata or apartment style properties, But we'll look at the chains. What are they doing with their rates? And they're usually the market leaders on demand. So if they put their rates up and you haven't, you've got to go, ooh, something's going on. I should maybe put my rates up as well. Or if they go down in advance. So if you're watching what they're doing and just follow, or if they start following you, that's even better. That means that you're the market leader. So, but have a look at it on a daily basis if you can. You can use the tools through Expedia, and Booking.com has one as well where you can just pick who you're going to watch. But at least have one hotel in your region or area that you're watching as well as your competitor list. So make sure you're offering a better deal direct, or a better package, things that no one else can get. You want to convert as many bookings direct as you can. And
if you offer a deal direct with really nice little inclusions, you know, you obviously can't do that with great ease on the OTAs. So you want to actually always have a deal direct with inclusions like discount vouchers, or you know, late checkouts or upgrades or something like that that will entice your guests to book directly on your website.
You can go.
Oh, offer return guest loyalty programs and incentives, which we've touched on just before. So return guests, etc. You might want to offer them specifically a closed deal that you know, they can access when they stay at your property. Know what your customers book and want from your property. So you need to know what length of stay, the average length of stay that people, it might be a 3 or it might be a 5, or you could even have a 7 night depending on your property and your client base. You need to know what deals have worked best for you in the past. So if you do set up a direct offer, like a stay 3, save 15% with inclusions, something like that, you need to track that. You need to understand if that deal has worked best for you for May, June, for your need period. Otherwise, don't do it again. Try something else next time if it doesn't work. Change your always think too. It's not a blanket discount too. You've got to look at your supply demand specifically to your room types, not just all your rooms. So there's going to be times of the year, especially for you guys here on the coast, that your 2-bedroom, as an example, rooms will be high demand in school holiday period. Your 1-bedrooms are going to get stuck if you've got 1-bedroom or studios. So that's they're the room types that you need to have offers or discounts on through that period. Don't blanket discount when you don't need to. There's going to be times of the year that some room types are going to be a higher demand than others. It's very important to know that. Set seasonal offers and promotions on the online channels, but never better than your direct offer. So always have a better offer direct and a better daily rate direct on your own website. It's really important. So make sure that when you do, which is what I just touched on, do a direct offer, but you do market this aggressively through e-news, social media, Facebook advertising, sharing. So really talk about it. If you've got, especially as I said, this time of year, which we all know is a tough period for most people on the coast after Easter, etc., school holidays prior to the July holidays, you know, market it aggressively across all the channels you possibly can. Talk to your guests, get them to share it with their friends, etc. Do what you can to push it out there and monitor it. So think about your specials too. Hey, you want to do this? You want to do this bit? Yeah. All right, off you go.
So with the specials, when you're planning a special, there's a few things you need to think about. So what's your booking lead time, for example? So you can get that information pretty easily out of your channel manager. And it says, if you pull up the stats, will say how far in advance they book. So if your bookers book 45 days or 60 days in advance, don't really bother doing a last minute special, because that's obviously not your guest. So it's really important to understand, you know, how far in advance. Know what channels convert as well. So if you're going to put on, every channel is slightly different. Like if you pull out your statistics from the report, you'll see your booking lead time on a Go-To might be 14 days, whilst Expedia's 90 days and your own website's 45 days. So do different offers to cater to convert as many bookings as you can on each channel. Like you don't need to do the same for everything, as Kim was saying as well, not same for rooms. And if you plan ahead, as we've said, that means you won't get that last minute panic. And if you put a last minute panic and you drop your rates, you're not going to convert anything. If anything, you'll get the same bookings at a cheaper rate. So really just making less money for what you already would have got. And as I said earlier, if it's not within your booking lead time, it's not really going to work anyway. So you just need to plan. What are my need dates? How long do my guests stay? How far in advance do they book? by what channel, as I said, varies from channel to channel. What room types fill up without any special offer, which is what Kim was saying. If your 2 bedrooms fill, don't put them on the special. Just use the special for the room types that don't sell. What worked in the past? Will the guests who stayed this time last year come again? If they will, send them a newsletter. Hey, you came last year, come back, we'll give you the same deal. So be proactive in your specials and your offers. So at least get them up 2 months prior to your need period, at least, once you know you've established what your booking lead time is. So usually, as soon as Easter's over, you put out your winter specials. So time it, because obviously when someone's on an Easter holiday, they're probably not going to think about their next holiday. But as soon as they finished it, they'll go, oh gosh, I need a new holiday. So they'll think about booking it then. So think about your timing. Make sure you set it up on your own website first with your length of stay. And then when you set it up and you put on your booking button, test it. Make sure it works. Make sure you can book it if you're going to email it out to a guest. So, I mean, you can always cancel the booking afterwards if it drops into your system, but make sure it works. Otherwise, it's not going to convert. Then send out your newsletter and put your booking links in there, post it to social media and send it back to your newsletter and your website, and then promote it via Facebook as well. So you want to do all of this first before you even bother talking to the OTAs. So talk to your guests. Focus on getting people direct first, not last, which is what we tend to do at the moment, I think. We just think it's the easy fix to go to the OTAs and they'll magically produce some people. So there's just a couple of examples of offers. So this hot offer was sent out to the guests. This was exclusive for the guests, and as you can see, it was worded in a way that made it look like it was really cheap, even though $59 per person is for 4 people in a room, so it's not really that cheap. But it's about how you word it to close the deal. When you're doing your specials and promotions, make sure they're snappy and clear, have good pictures, are very clear with the terms and conditions. Make sure it's matched on your social media so it links back to the booking, so everything sort of talks the same talk and converts back. Easy to click, easy to call, easy to book. And then, a couple of weeks later, then put your specials out on online travel agents. You should have had a bit of pickup from then. You might even be able to lift up your rates to the OTAs because you've got a bit of occupancy. And then resend a reminder at the same time as you post it on the OTAs to all your direct guests to book on that special offer directly. Obviously, once you're finished, review it. How many bookings do they get? What channel? How many direct? Including over the phone, which we need to make sure your front desk people know that just because it doesn't come via the booking button doesn't mean it's come from that particular marketing campaign or special offer. How many bookings through your OTAs? How long did they stay? What was the booking lead time? And then if it worked, set it up again for next year. You don't need to reinvent the wheel all the time. Now, bit of homework for you.
So, how many room types and rate plans do you have? Review all this when you don't have to do it now, but just in your head. Do you know your seasons and special events dates for the next 12 months at least, 18 months? What's your guest average length of stay? Do you know that? You can pull all this out of your PMS report. How far in advance do they book? By booking source. So know how far the people that book through online agents book in advance and how far your direct or return guests book. It's going to be different. Do you have the best available rate and know what commission levels fall off these rates? Do you have something set up like we showed you on that rate matrix? Do you understand your different commission levels and what your net rate will be to you in your hand? Do you have wholesale, inbound or corporate and government contract rates in place? Do you have those? Really more important to know what your net rates are and how you work your rates online.
Yeah. If you don't, now's the time. Contracting time.
Contracting time. Do you know who your competitor set is? It's really good to have at least 2 or 3 that you know that you can watch in your competitor set that you can keep an eye on with rates, etc. What are your terms and conditions and are they better direct, which we've touched on before?
Yeah.
They're all things that you really need to know and you really need to review on your own channel manager and your own rates.
Yeah.
Really
so sit
important.
down over a cup of coffee or maybe a glass of wine and just go through the questions and go, actually I don't have that, or I do have this, or I know some of it, and then work out how can I get the rest of that information to
really
pull it all together.
To know all that. Yeah. And then you can go back and assess all your rates then from there.
Yeah. And our final thing is then onto your website and how important that is as your window of booking window, basically. So this is just a question for you all, and you should put up your hands. So who books their personal holidays on an OTA? Yeah. Why?
Because if you do it through booking.com, you can get a 10% discount as a frequent genius.
Yeah, okay. So yes, and they reward, and sometimes it's just easier.
Always compare.
Yeah, oh yeah, always compare, and I do the same. I'll look at all the opportunities. I'll look on booking.com, I'll look on Expedia, I'll look on Agoda, I'll look on the property. I'll call the property to ask, can I get the same deal or a better deal? If they say no, I'll just go, whatever, I'll just book on booking.com. So you need to think about that. If you do it, other people do it, and how can you make your website better to make sure that they book on your site and don't go off.
Or your rate better.
Yeah.
So they actually get the better rate when they're shopping, whether you've got a deal or not, that your best available, you're just your normal bar 2 or 3 night rate is always going to be $5 or $10 cheaper on your own website than it is.
So if you're a booking genius, you're getting a 10% discount.
Yeah.
But then the property is also paying a 15%, so they're basically giving a 25% discount, so you can have your 10% discount.
Yeah.
So if you gave a direct customer a 15% discount, then it's better than what they're getting, and you're making an extra 10%.
And you're paying that 15% commission anyway.
Wrong way.
Yeah. So. Yeah.
So as we said, your window, your website is your shopping window. It needs to have a clear benefit to book direct. It needs to be responsive. About a year ago now, Google made it so if your website was not responsive and not mobile friendly, they don't show you. You would not appear on the mobile search. And as we know, more and more people are using their mobiles to search and to look and book. So make sure it is. Make sure your images are better than what you've got on the OTA. Have more information. Make sure your customers that it's easy to book, or even better, if they're on a mobile, that all they need to do is click to call. So they don't have to filter through any information. They can just go, oh, I like the look of that one. Click, hi, can I make a booking? Make sure you've got exclusive offers on your own website. Click to call, as I said. And ensure that your Google Analytics is set up. It costs nothing, and your web company should be able to do it. And then each month you can get a report to go, what do people look at? What pages did they look at? What room types did they look at? There's a lot of information that you can get from Google Analytics that will help you understand actually your customers.
And how long they're staying on the page and everything. Pages as well is really important.
Yeah. So there's, when we're looking at properties, or you and I, all of us, we look at things in a certain order. So you need to make sure this information is on your website. Where will I sleep? Obviously, most important. Where can I eat when I'm there, whether it's off-site or on-site? What can I do? Am I just going to lie by the pool, or am I going to go out and do some tours? Where do I check in? How do I do that? Is there a map and a location? Is there a pool, gym, barbecue meeting areas? I need to look at exterior. So this is actually what we look at in order when we're making a decision. So how you prioritise things. So make sure, obviously, if you print this out, go, okay, I need to make sure the images of my rooms are the best, and then I need to make sure all of this other information is there, because the last thing that really that they're interested in is the pools and the amenities and what the outside of your property looks like. So, you know, just change the order of how you've got things set up. So photography is very important. So which one would you book?
Same room.
Same room. One photograph taken on a mobile phone and one taken by a professional photographer. So you've got to think about your display and how much of a difference it makes from a customer point of view to what you'll book and what you won't, even though it's exactly the same. So make sure you've got good photography. Yeah. It's not that big of an investment, and you just need to be clear about exactly what you want. The OTAs have a little checklist of images, so print that out and give it to the photographer. This is what I need, what size I need, how many I need. So it'll make a real difference to your booking conversions.
And be honest about your photography. Don't just put your best room up there for each room type, because that's when you get into strife. Like if you've got, obviously Strata, we've all got different owners for different properties, they're all going to look different. So have a variety of actual living areas or whatever. Mostly the bathrooms and kitchens are pretty much the same unless you've got different categories, but make sure you've got a variety of images for the specific room types and bedrooms so that they know there's going to be differences in the decor or the standards and colours, etc. So that's really important too. Don't just put, oh, that's my best room, I'll put that photograph out.
No, because then you'll just, as we know,
we'll get complaints.
Because they didn't get that room.
That didn't look the same.
So with your website, make sure it's really, really simple. And it's easy to understand. You don't need to look or hunt around for how to book, how to call, where you are, what I get, including my rate. Put it all right there on that first screen. They don't need to scroll down. They don't even need to go anywhere else. So that's all I need. So look at your own website and obviously make sure that there's that. As we said, make your booking direct benefits better than the OTAs and try and close the deal. So this one's giving you a special offer. This is using a comparison tool which shows you what's on the OTA compared to what you can get direct and what your inclusions are if you book direct. So it's pretty easy. As I said, use your pictures on your website to sell. Make sure you've got a cover note, you know, what you get, what's included, where I'm located. The Overlow one's really a good example and I'd recommend you having a look at them. But he booked direct. He got a glass of wine, he got a free breakfast, he got a free Wi-Fi. Like, you don't have to do all of those things, you just do what you can. But if you tell people, don't make them hunt for it, put it smack in front of their face so they don't have to decide. And then even on your room images, make sure you've got that image overflow that says what it is, what they get free in their room and how to book straight away. So as we just said, and on your booking button as well, you can do this. So this is that new version of the booking button. Highlight what's included, make sure you show, and then have the sense of urgency, which is actually just a button. So like booking.com does, two other people are looking at my room and this is the last one. You can do that with your own booking button as well. Just need to make sure that's enabled so that people can go, oh, there's only one left, I better book that. Yeah. So with your Google and your website, as we said sort of earlier, you can spend lots of money on keyword SEO. Might not get you anything much, but if you actually put active content on your website, that means Google keeps looking at you all the time because they're going, oh, something's going on over there. Talk about things that are happening, why people come, why they'd want to come and book, why they want to stay. When you set up a blog or a news article, make sure you test your links. If you say book now, make sure when you click it, it goes to your booking button or clicks to call your mobile. We kind of recommend, like we generally do 3 blogs a week and 1 article a month. But if you don't have that much time, then we'd recommend at least 4 to 6 articles, blogs a week and 1 article. And they just need to be an event, something to do while you're there, maybe your best booking tour with a link to your ticket mates so that you can convert the deal straight away, and then maybe your favourite restaurant, you know, something like that. But keep talking about new stuff. Think about what the guests ask you and talk about those things. And make sure that when you write an article on your website, you post a snippet on your social media that says read more, that clicks through to go back to your website, because you want to drive people back. You don't want them just going on your social media and then flittering off somewhere else. You want them to come back and to look, and then in your Google Analytics you can actually track all of that activity. So you can see that was a really good article or that was a good special that I posted because it came through with some results. Now we've just got a little test for you, and I know Justin said turn off your mobiles, but if you've got them, get them out now and then have a look at your website and see how it looks on your mobile, because now I would say 80% of us are looking and searching and booking via a mobile, not a desktop and not even a tablet. So
especially if you're wanting to capture that last minute.
Yeah, or if you want to grow your direct business.
Yeah.
We need to make sure that what you're selling, your window, you know, is active and also easy to book on. So you can have a website, cost you a lot of money, but if it's not active, it's really just an expensive business card. So just make sure it's converting. It doesn't just have to look good. So how did everyone go? Happy with how your website looks? Mobile, responsive, easy to book?
Click to call. I'm sure that's really important.
Yeah.
Not going to get too much information.
No, that's just for you to have a think about later and go, ooh, maybe I need to do something there.
So there's no quick fix for sales and marketing. It takes time, and it takes thinking, planning, as we've just discussed. It's not a few months, and it's not in a scattergun approach. It requires consistency of tracking, planning, thinking, and if you can't do it yourself, you need to, you know, get someone in that can help you for a while, or you know, get a staff member that can actually do sales and marketing for you. It's very, very important to be keeping the consistency with all your sales and marketing, to keep yourself quite high up in the online presence across the board. Have a plan, know your data and your guests, is obviously we've touched on, is really important. Communicate your goal with your staff and celebrate success. Please communicate with your front office if you're not doing it all yourself, and tell them what you want. Benchmarks your stats in the marketplace. There's a really good site called STR Global, and you can actually set up your statistics with them, so you can actually do your monthly stats, so you know where you sit with occupancy, your ADR, and your revenue, how you sit in your marketplace.
Yeah, so it just shows you put in your 3 stats, so your occupancy, your revenue and your average rate, and it collates it against all the other properties in the area. It could be 200 or 300 of them, and it will show you where you are against them.
Yeah.
So it gives you kind of a goal as well. So if you're like number 5 and you want to get up to number 2, you can sort of track it and work your way up.
It's a really good tool to do when you pull out your end of month stats, just to drop your statistics in there. You don't have to do it daily, just do it monthly.
Yeah.
Train your staff, it's really good. Customer service and obviously sales, booking, conversion training at the front desk will result in more bookings. So it's so important to do that. Trial and error, some things work and some things don't. Like you might have set up a special offer for May and June last year that didn't really give you many bookings. So you try something different the next time around. So it is trial and error. Not everything you're going to set up, or every package or inclusion or deal or agent that you're going to work with or wholesaler that you might contract with, it might not work, it might not give it, but you need to try lots of different types of business, you know, communication with other market segments to trial to see if that works for your property. So don't give up. Basically, keep trying different things. Monitor your sales conversion from your marketing, and tweak and improve and try it again. So just continue to trial and error with different things that we've discussed. So that's pretty well a bit of a wrap up for us now. So yeah, hopefully you got some information from what we've talked about today. Justin needs a microphone.
Yes.
Just Vari and I'll be here for a little bit after, and just ask us any questions. Yeah.
Wow! I just got so many good points from that session. Thanks, guys. I always try and make a couple of little bullet points from the sessions, and I started making a few, and I ended up with nearly an essay. So, nice. Thanks, guys. Some of the key points I took from that was all of the team needs to close the sale. And I really remembered that, and it was a bit of a theme throughout today's presentation. All of the team needs to close the sale. And what does it mean to close the sale? It's asking for someone to make a booking. It's asking for their phone number or email address so that can be followed up. And having all of the team expecting that that's part of their role, and incentivising that that's part of their role as well, was one of the real takeaways that I got from today as well. There was some chat about Webmaster Tools, your Google score being HTTPS or secure friendly, and there are various tools that are free and easy where you can be in full control of your website And if you don't have your Webmaster login to your own website, you should obtain it, because it's really easy to see where people are coming from and how much Google likes or doesn't like your website, both from a desktop and a mobile point of view. Very easy to do. And if your website isn't liked very much by Google for mobile, they will give you specific instructions on how to fix it. Some of those things are easy and some of those things need to be outsourced, but they are essential, particularly from your mobile friendly score and your secure score, because if you don't rank well on those, Google just won't rank you.
Yeah.
Simple as that. Also noted some of the change that has happened, because Kim in particular has been presenting a few times over the years. And going back a ways, there was much more of a focus on the opportunity of OTAs. But going back a ways, their commission was 10% as well.
That's right.
And if we've got the OTAs with an ever increasing commission rate, the value proposition of contracted agents becomes much more important part of the mix. And I did notice that today's presentation had more of a focus on the importance of that contracting as part of the overall mix. Yep. For most buildings. Also, there was a bit of a theme today about the importance of data and entering it always, all the time, even if you're busy and even if that's not your core job. And one of the best examples I ever saw of that was a building that got demolished for the tram there in Surfers. But the lady there, she had a quite defined check-in procedure, and it took a little bit longer to check in each of the guests. Not so much that a guest behind them was frustrated or annoyed, but it did take a little bit longer. But all of the important and necessary information was gathered, and all of the information that was important to give the guest was given to the guest as part of that check-in procedure. So do you have a check-in procedure? Do your staff know what that check-in procedure is, and are you implementing it for each and every guest? I also liked the takeaway for the translated information, and I think that's essential for the rise of international bookers, particularly from China, and that should be something that every building has. And it was interesting to hear that it won't cost a lot to get that information translated, and that can make a really big difference. Also had a note here about automation freeing up your time, because quite obviously from today's session, it seems like a lot. There's a lot to do. In REI Master, you can set up automated task plans that will do certain things for you automatically. So on making a booking, send someone an automated confirmation. 2 weeks prior, try and upsell them to a better room or a better tariff automatically. On the day of arrival, send them an SMS with a limited deal for an early check-in to a better room at a higher rate. Post-arrival, 1 hour later, are they happy with the room? Post-event marketing and all of those kinds of things, all automated from within the system. So automation can really make a big difference. There also was a theme about not too many room types and rate plans. And I really wanted everyone to understand why Kim and Varia took the time to raise this issue, because in the consulting that they do, I know that they come across buildings that have got far too many, that therefore are confusing their guests.
We had one with 20.
One with 20. So we might have a north view, a south view, an executive room, a superior room, and then you throw in 1, 3, 5 and 7 night room stays into the mix of that, and all of a sudden the product that you're trying to sell has been massively diluted, and it makes it difficult for your guests to make a decision. And so, without rehashing what they've brought up, I think it's an important point that they brought it up several times. So how many rate plans and room types do you have? Also, a bit of a theme from today was to ensure that your booking policy and inclusions for direct your policies benefited your direct bookings, okay? Not the other way around. Is parking included with your direct bookings? Is a late checkout included? And both of those things don't necessarily need to affect price. And so what's included, what are your terms and conditions for direct, and making sure that it's obvious for your direct bookers at that time. So that was also a theme. Also like the idea of seeing what the hotel chains were up to. They employ some pretty smart people as a general rule, and some of the larger hotels have got a team of 3 and 4 people who are dedicated wholly and solely to everything we've just seen today. And for most of our clients, there's just simply not the resources to make that available. But you can take cues from them, including for a long period in advance as to what they're up to, and that can be really useful where you can sort of copy what they're up to, or at least match what they're up to as well. So I thought that was a good little tip there. Also, it didn't come up today, but there is a significant rise in the importance of video marketing. And I was reading an article this morning, even just by chance, about a prediction that by a certain time, not too far in the future, that 90% of marketing will be video based. And so there's a massive increase in that. So some of that could be some actual videos that are done for your building. Some of it could be it's just a glorious day and you whacked out the camera and did 20 seconds of the glorious view out the window and posted it. That video component will become increasingly important. Anyone here do their own accounting and tax returns? Okay, only one. We normally get none. The reason why I make that point is that there is a lot to the sales and marketing, from a digital side, from an understanding your website and a technical side, from a contracting point of view, and all of those avenues. And so what I'm seeing is the rise of the digital marketing consultant, which is exactly where these guys fit in. Even a small building is competing with a big budget of the larger buildings who are doing all of these things. Find out for your own building within your budget what things you can do and what things you realistically need to outsource. And it might be that you need to get an understanding of where your sales and marketing is to implement a strategy over the coming few months or year, or your building might be big enough that you need an ongoing service. As I mentioned at the beginning, the slides will be made available to everyone who's participated today. The session has been recorded, so you'll be able to watch it online. Don't forget to hit subscribe for those of you that have watched it online. And we will take now some questions and answers. For anyone feeling brave, because if you're not brave, that's fine.
We're not that scary, really.
Kim and Vara will hang around at the end. And those questions can be something that the person right next to you is thinking of asking, and it could help someone who's watching online as well. So anyone brave enough for any questions, I will give you the microphone so that it's part of our recording. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Gail.
Hello, Gail. How are you?
Good, thank you. You touched on Google marketing, and I get phone calls constantly from Google business wanting to upgrade, and the fees are ridiculous. You said you virtually can do it yourself. How do you find out what is the keywords that you need to put in there? Like, what's the easy way of doing that?
There is actually a website where you can look up all the keywords for your market or for your target, and it will just give you a big list, and then you decide whatever. But mostly your keywords would be your location, the name of your property, and accommodation, or apartment accommodation, or holiday stays, or they would be what people are searching for. So yeah, you don't have to pay money even to get people to do your keywords.
Yep.
For you, and a lot of the time after you start doing your active content, you'll actually pick up on what is coming through, and it will show up in your Google Analytics. So So you can go, okay, that's actually a word that's been repeated, and that blog or post is getting click-throughs constantly as a result.
So when you say you Google Analytics, how do you get that up? Like how?
If you have a website
Yep.
and a web company,
Yep.
then they should be able to generate the code for you. And
Well, I've done, my daughter did my own web page,
Yeah.
and it has its own analytics built into it through Website Builder.
yeah.
So you can see where all your hits are coming from.
Yeah, so that should be your Google Analytics.
So that's it,
With
okay.
if you log into Google, the login for all Googles is all the same. So log into your Google account,
Yep.
log into Google/Analytics, I think it is, and then you can go into there and pull out all the actual reports and make sure it's attached to every single page on your website. So if you've got a blog page, then you need to make sure that analytic code is actually active on all of those as well. So
Yeah, I don't have a blog
but that's where
page.
you put active content on every week.
yeah, so you can have a website with all great content, but as we were saying, if you don't have a blog or a news page or a what's on or whatever you want to
So
call
you're saying
it.
putting that on your web page?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So you've got content dropping in on your website
Yeah.
every week.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's active.
yeah, so for your keywords, I mean, you could just type in what you would think if you wanted to book. What are the keywords I would use? Because usually that's what people do, and a lot of people use phrases as well now. So hotel near.
And would you
beach.
recommend having your booking button through your Facebook page as well?
Absolutely, absolutely. And on every post that you do, like if you do a special offer and you put it onto your Facebook, make sure your book now is on that, as well as a link through back to your website to book now. So everywhere you can put a book now, just put it.
So it pushes everyone back to your website.
Yeah.
So just an extension of that, there is a significant change in search rankings, and it's more so nowadays about content than about keywords. And this is why the guys have been talking about these blog posts and what seems like a large amount of information, 4 to 6 a week is what you guys had mentioned. And your guests don't have time to read 4 to 6 a week, but Google does. Google reads all of them and indexes them instantly. And it's that purpose that has the greatest value. It's that regular and relevant content
So your
that's posted.
time and spend is going to be better blogging rather than paying a company for SEO, for AdWords.
So one thing with your posts is they don't have to be long. Like it can just be 2 or 3 paragraphs around an event that's coming up. This is the event, these are the dates, this is where it is, and at the end you just write, if you're looking for accommodation near whatever the name of the event is, why don't you book and stay with us? Name your property with a book now, click through. So it's not about writing lots, your article's bigger, but your ongoing content, your small posts don't need to be long. So.
And it needs to be, the posts need to be relative too. You just can't talk about anything random. They've got to obviously be specific to your area and what's going on and what's happening at your property, etc. For it to revert back to you. So.
Anyone's website greater than 12 to 18 months old? Because if it is, it's ancient. Sorry, that's just the nature of the internet. Including the introduction from Google's point of view, of rich snippets, which is additional meta information embedded into each of your pages that do rank, including a big focus from Google on how fast your page loads, and if it's slow, it could have the best content and the most relevant content, but they will not rank you if it's slow. And that could be the image sizes, and I don't mean the size of the image as it presents on the page, I mean the size of the image in file size. It can be down to how often that information's refreshed too. And so anything that's 12 to 18 months old in terms of your website is in need of a refresh, perhaps not in the way that it presents, but certainly in some of the back end. Anyone else brave for a question? Okay. There was a lot of content. Yes, question here. Thank you.
There was a slide about how the guest doesn't really know the difference between the motel, the hotel, the apartment. Do you have recommendations on how you can kind of communicate how your property is slightly different to the rest? Like, for example, my property only does housekeeping on a weekly basis, so a guest checks in and they don't realize that. And then their towels are soiled, and it's a bit more of a process because of that.
Yeah, well, that's probably something that you need to do at your check-in procedure. Obviously, if that's written into your booking content on your websites and your descriptives, that's pretty simple.
And also your confirmation letter.
Yeah, your confirmation letter should be clear. So with your pre-stay news, maybe even just make a little picture with a little summary of what that means. So as we said, people, we don't read words a lot anymore, so if you can kind of make your communications like a cartoon, they'll probably take more notice. But part of what that comment was that we made was that from a guest point of view, they just want customer service, and they think that they are staying at a hotel regardless of what type of property that you have. So from a customer service point of view, treat them all the same and act the same, even if you've got 2 rooms or 200. So
anyone else? Okay. Well, I know the guys are going to hang around for anyone who wants to ask some additional questions. It's a big deal to be out of your business for a couple of hours, and so we really appreciate the effort for you to come. The seminar series that we've been running has been really popular. All of our historical events are online, so you can go back and have a look at seminars about bundling, seminars about selling your management rights and all kinds of things. For those EasyRes clients that haven't recently watched the upgrade to REI Master video, I really encourage you to do that. The latest platform is a key part of marketing success. But I'd really love to thank you guys for coming along, a really informative session, and so let's give them a round of applause.